Hey middle schoolers, this video is a review video for anybody in either one of the language arts classes that has already written their letter, and it's new for anybody who was not here for this lesson. So we are going to talk for a minute about how to write a letter. Last Sunday was Grandparents' Day, and normally at CCCS we have a special chapel and worship time each year for our grandparents, to honor our grandparents or those people who act like grandparents for us. And so since we couldn't do that this year the way we normally do because of the COVID restrictions, we are taking some time out in our language arts class to have a writing activity that fits in with our language arts curriculum, but also will help us honor our grandparents. So I want to go over a little bit about how to write a letter. This is not going to be very in-depth. There's a lot more to really good letter writing than what I'm going to go over. But just a few things for you so you know what you need to do and what I expect for your letter. Now, as you can see, I'm a very good artist here. You can see how straight my lines are, right? Just kidding. But this is supposed to look like a piece of notebook paper. I hope it does. You can write your letter on a piece of notebook paper or other lined paper if you want to. You may also type your letter. The rules will be basically the same. So here's the first thing I want to point out. At the very top of your paper, you should write the date. Now today's date is September 22nd. You should write whatever date it is that you're writing your letter. So if you're writing your letter tomorrow, it'll be September 23rd. It really doesn't matter, but you do want to put a date on it, especially if your grandparents are the kind of people who like to keep things. Now, the very first line, normally when you're writing something for me in class, I tell you you have to have your standard heading and all of that, but on this you don't because this is a letter. I am going to grade it, but then I'm going to give it back to you to be able to give to your grandparents, and I'm not going to write on your final draft. So let's talk about the rough draft. The very first line is going to say, "Dear Grandma," or whatever you call your grandparents. My kids call my dad Pardy, P-A-R-D-I. It's kind of a funny name, but that's what my kids call their grandfather. So whatever you call your grandparents, if it's Grandma and Grandpa, Mima and Papa, whatever it is you call them, that's how you should address this. So dear Grandma and Grandpa, dear Ma and Pa, dear Papa and Nana, whatever it is you call your grandparents, that's the first line. And I want you to notice that it's right up against the red line there. And if you're typing, you're not going to hit the tab button at all. You're going to start that dear Grandma at the very far left. Okay, second thing. You can skip a line or you cannot skip a line. It doesn't matter at this point. But when you start writing your first paragraph, you need to have an indent. That's what this is called, an indent. When you indent, if you're typing, you just hit the tab button once. If you're writing, you want to put one or two fingers right up next to the red line and start writing next to that. That shows that you've started a new paragraph. A good way to start a thank you letter or a letter of appreciation is to say something like this. I wanted to take a minute to write and thank you for. Or you could say, I just wanted to tell you how much I love and appreciate you. And then, I didn't write any more on here, but what I want you to do is I want you to write a paragraph or two. It doesn't have to be very long. Some kids who have already finished this wrote one paragraph. Some kids wrote, I had one kid that wrote all front and back, wrote a real proper letter. It's pretty impressive, actually. But I want you to think of some very specific things that your grandparents or your special person does for you. For instance, do your grandparents drop you off at school and pick you up? Do your grandparents take you fishing? Do they always remember your birthday? What kinds of things is it that they do? I know that my daughter, my dad lives in Texas, and so Bethy's Party and Nana B can't be with her a lot, but They write her letters, and they like to send messages through Facebook, through me to her. They send her stickers because they know she likes stickers. And so Bethy was able to write a letter to her grandparents telling them that she appreciated those things about them. So the second part of your letter, after your little introduction sentence, you can finish out a paragraph with what it is that you appreciate and love about your grandparents. Now, if you want to talk about several different things, you'll probably have several different paragraphs. But I want you to be specific. I don't want you to say, thank you for being nice. Well, what is it that they do that's nice? So be very specific. Then at the end, remember, this is what we call an informal letter. This is a personal letter. So you're going to close it with a personal closing. So you could close it, but your personal closing is going to be on the other side. It doesn't have to be all the way over. If you're typing, you would hit tab a few times so that it's over on the right side. You can see that I wrote love, comma, and then on the next line, I wrote me. You would sign your name. So if Bethy were writing this, it would say love, Bethy. Now, if you don't like love, you could say thanks a bunch. Or you could say sincerely. There are lots of different ways to close a letter. If you have any questions about that or you need ideas, you can ask me at school or you can email me about that. How this is going to work is you're going to send me or give me your rough draft, and I am going to edit it for you. I will proofread it and correct any grammar or spelling or punctuation mistakes, and then I'll give it back to you, and you will rewrite it. Now, you're going to get a grade of 100 for your rough draft if you do it and you finish it and you try and do what I've asked. The way your second grade is going to work is I'm going to compare your rough draft to your final draft. And if you corrected everything I said to correct, then you'll get a 100 on it. If you didn't, then your grade will be adjusted accordingly. So that's how we're going to do that. But I am not going to mark at all on your final draft so that you will be able to send your final draft to your grandparents. I hope that this is a fun activity and that you'll enjoy letting your grandparents or other special person in your life, maybe an aunt or an uncle or a friend at church, that you let them know how much you appreciate them, because one of the things that the Apostle Paul tells us in one of his letters is that we're supposed to give honor to whom honor is due. When somebody's done something great, we're supposed to say thank you to them for that. And I think that this is a great opportunity to do that, and I hope you enjoy the project.